President Biden snubbing a visit to East Palestine, Ohio, even as a community there is still suffering after that massive toxic train derailment. But residents have no fear. Biden says he's going to zoom in.
Are you planning to travel to East Palestine, Ohio?
This moment, not. I did a whole video. What the hell? On Zoom. All I can every time I think of Zoom, that song of my generation. Who's zooming who? Wait. Let me answer the question.
I think Zoom is what he calls the train.
Who's zooming who?
Biden also dismissing the East Palestine mayor who criticized him for visiting Ukraine over his community, but couldn't remember if he even talked to the local leader.
Did you plan to travel there, and have you talked with the mayor?
I can't recall whether I don't think I've talked to the mayor. I've talked to everyone else there, and I'm multiple times. Talked to both the senators, both governors. I've talked to everyone there is to talk to, and we made it clear that everything is available.
Danny, you kind of made this point or in one of the earlier blocks. I can't remember. Not sure I was listening. But you said that, like, sometimes people don't do the right thing because it gives your adversaries the satisfaction.
Yeah.
Can't admit this was right or that was wrong. In this case, I feel like we're in that stage of this cycle where, like, I'm not going if they say we have to go. It's just like the border.
Right.
It's just like the border. I'm not going to the border. If the 5 says we got to go to the border, we're not going to go. Now they're saying go to East Palestine. That's why they don't listen to you, Dana. They don't listen to you because they spite you.
I think they do hate me.
Yes.
It's true. They probably have that tattoo
join the club.
somewhere. I know. You probably feed them their talking points. It is strange that Mr. Empathy, though, that his instincts weren't to go or to send anybody. Or, as we've said before, like, why didn't you call a cabinet meeting before you went to Ukraine so that at least the people of Ukraine would know that you're on top of it, you're there. And then to feel like they're so disconnected, it's kind of also strange, too, going into 2024. I'll bring a little politics into it because apparently that's the season that we're in. There is one of the senators, Democrat Sherrod Brown, is up for re-election. And Ohio has increasingly become a very red state. And it's pretty interesting to me that Biden wouldn't want to even go and help him. Why would you not want to do that? The other thing I would say is that Pete, Mayor Pete, he got a real death blow in the Washington Post because the fact checker said there is no truth to the claim or no merit to the claim that it was Department of Transportation's Trump ruling that made this accident happen. So that's a pretty low blow right there for them.
Harold, looks like the wheels are coming off this train. You said during the break, I'm so embarrassed to be a Democrat right now. And I said, it's okay, but it is kind of sad that this is your leader. Right.
He's our leader, and I wish he had gone sooner. I'd advocated for a while. I thought he should have gone. I thought Secretary Buttigieg should have gone sooner. The only person that's been multiple times is the EPA administrator, who you've had on your show. Someone's showing some accountability here. For the life of me, I'm not the finger pointing and the blaming. I think I'm gonna let everybody allocate a little bit of that. I think we got to figure out how we help these people now and how we prevent one of these things from happening again. And I'm excited and encouraged that the Congress is going to hold hearings there on the ground. They'll get a chance to hear from residents. But more importantly, I hope they invite, which it seems that they are, Norfolk Southern as well as other railway operators, to figure out what they're doing in the near term and intermediate and long term to prevent something from like this happening again. And then 2, what is it that they do to allow their operators of their trains? How much subjectivity, how much discretion do they give them to stop those trains when they hear those kind of sensors or those kind of sensors are alerted? And finally, I don't know how much of this toxic material we transport across the country today. This is an argument. I'm a believer in pipelines because of things like this. But we need to know, what is the volume of this going across the nation today? How many communities are at risk of this? And what can the president do? I said, if I were the president, I would issue an executive order calling for all these operators transporting this kind of toxic material to uphold to a standard, a new protection standard and safety standard for the communities in which this stuff is being transported through.
Absolutely.
Judge, I think what irks me, and I don't get irked very often, but I'm irked now, that Joe was so pro-train. Remember, he was always loved the trains. Then one train gets into trouble, nowhere to be found. Guess it's easy to be pro-train when they're all running on time, huh?
Oh, yeah, that's a great point.
Thank you.
This is what I disagree with Harold on. He said you can't point the finger of blame.
No, I said I don't. That's not my strength.
Okay.
That's not my strength.
Well, then here's the difference between us. I do. Okay?
That's your strength.
It's the accusatory part of the prosecutor and me. Yeah, I do. First of all, I want to know, why is Pete Buttigieg the head of the Department of Transportation when he has zero experience, when he has no experience at all? I mean, I get the victor gets to appoint people to whatever spoils he wants, but this is ridiculous.
Why are you looking at me? I didn't do it.
No,
You're to blame.
I'm just looking. I'm just looking. I won't look at you, and I'll look at the camera. Okay, so, I mean, the truth is, only 33% of America approves of the way Joe Biden is working on this train issue. And for Joe to put someone on transportation who knows nothing about transportation, who clearly doesn't care, he knew about it right away. I knew about it right away. All you have to do is read a newspaper. But Buttigieg didn't want to go. And then Biden, as opposed to, and we've said this, affirmatively sending someone from the CDC or HHS, to go there and find out how he can help, they just say, no, you can't get FEMA money because you're not within the guidelines of FEMA. Have you talked to the mayor? Well, I don't know. I don't think so. Get your butt there. That's why Americans elected Joe Biden, because he allegedly cares. But maybe he doesn't, because they're Trump supporters.
Last word to you, Jesse. What should he say if he ever says anything?
Well, it's not so much what he says now, it's what he does. And he's acting like, those rich dads that just try to, buy their son's love.
I
That's
wish
Joe.
I had one.
I wish I did too.
I would have loved that.
Joe's like, I gave them whatever they asked for. I give them as much money as what do they want? I'll give it to you. I got to catch the flight to Ukraine. Come on, what do you want? Just get out of here. That's his attitude. And the man has no feel for the news cycle. No feel. And that worked maybe during the primary with the Democrats, where he wasn't responding on social media all the time. But he's the president. And if some show like, for instance, Jesse Watters Primetime leads with this toxic train wreck 7 nights in a row, and he doesn't respond until a week after that, I'm not saying you have to be cutting edge like Trump. Trump was so on the cutting edge of the news cycle, he was literally cutting the news cycle. But Joe has to strike a balance between kind of riding that wave, and he doesn't. And this is not a right-wing story. Rosie O'Donnell has come. The View is covered. Jon Stewart is. Aaron Brockovich is in town. I mean, Mayor Pete got hammered on the Sunday shows last Sunday by network news anchors about this very issue. So Joe has to say, listen, I know what a Zoom is, and I'm not going to forget about the mayor of East Palestine, and just get those things right. That would be a start.
Yes.
That would be a start.
Very good. All right.